Introducing Tony and Other People, a podcast. Here's your host, Tony Levesque.
Becky, what's up?
Not much, Tony. How are you?
Not much. Who's the nervous one, I guess?
I am. I've never done anything like this before, so.
Well, there's a first time for everything.
Yeah, I've never been good at like public speaking or anything, so This is all new to me.
Me either. When I started at the radio station, I had no idea what I was doing. Extremely nervous.
You wouldn't know it. You do really well.
Well, now, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I mean, we listen to Moose all the time, you know.
Everyone used to tell me right off the bat, "Oh, you can hear the nervousness in your voice."
I didn't think so.
At first,
yeah.
You could. The first couple of weeks, for sure.
But how long have you've been with the Big Moose for quite a while now, though?
A little over 2 years. So
yeah.
Not a long time, but long enough I should know better.
I like all the special things you do every day.
Thank you.
You know, I mean,
I didn't know you listen.
I listen every day because at work,
I
listen.
I'm sorry.
No, I listen all day long. You know, at work I have it on low, and then usually in the morning I like to listen because I like to catch up on all the local stuff because there's a lot of nights I'm not home to watch the news or whatever.
It does have great news.
Absolutely.
Brian does an excellent job.
Absolutely. Yep, they sure do.
As much as people bust on him, me included, he does a really good job at what he does.
Yes, he does. And I always enjoyed Dana when he was there, too. And I enjoyed George. We always used to call on our family birthdays every year, you know, and so forth. And he was always gracious and took care of our request. And there would be like, okay, you want to name the whole family, you know, happy birthday to, you know, Mom from the whole line of family. And there's like 8 of us, you know. Yeah. So he was always good about doing that, too. But yeah, I enjoy the Moose. And I really enjoy it, during the winter months because they do the trail report.
Right.
And
you're big on the snowmobile.
Yes, and that's huge for us. And actually we just had a snowmobile club meeting on Sunday. I'm a member of the Long Pond Snowmobile Club. That's up in
Harrisville area.
Yes, we used to always be based, it's always was, let me rephrase that, based out of the Buckhorn Tavern in Long Pond, hence Long Pond Snowmobile Club. So, but then when the Buckhorn Tavern closed down, we needed to obviously find a new location. And at that point, Belfort Inn wasn't open yet. And so we went to the Harrisville Rod and Gun Club, and they've always been really gracious and helpful, and they go above and beyond to, you know, accommodate us and so forth. And then the last year and a half, we've tried to expand it a little bit because there are so many members that are from the Croghan area. And there's also members in the Harrisville area. We have members that are in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, whatever, because it's cheaper to register a snowmobile if you're a member of a snowmobile club.
Right.
You're going to save $55 on your registration fees. So obviously it makes sense to join a club.
Yeah.
But so we do functions at Harrisville Rod and Gun Club. We do functions at Belfort Inn. We do functions at the Croghan American Legion. So it just kind of spreads it out a little bit.
Right.
And that way...
It's a big rural area, so even to have 20 members, they could be from, 20 miles away.
Absolutely. So it makes it nice that some of us locals from this area, being Croghan, Lowell, New Bremen, whatever, we don't have to travel as far for a function or whatever, you know. Right. It just makes it nice to kind of split it up. This way it accommodates the Harrisville people or Natural Bridge or Carth, whatever. And as well as accommodates all the Croghan people and New Bremen, Lowell, whatever. But we have a great bunch, and it's like anything. You have the same volunteers that do a lot of the things and do a lot of the work. And I'm the chairman of the board of directors, and so there's 9 of us, counting myself. So we have 8 board members, and then we have you have a president, secretary, treasurer, vice president, and it's a great bunch of people. And I really rely on the board of directors because obviously like the mechanical part of it, of like the groomers and all that kind of stuff, or, keeping up with what needs to be done on the equipment, etc. I'm obviously clueless. So it's a good thing, that we have all the board of directors as well as all of our guys that do all the grooming. If it wasn't for those groomers, and they spend endless hours in those groomers, and we have a groomer in Long Pond, we have a groomer in Harrisville, we have a groomer in Croghan. So, there's tons of guys
Mm-hmm.
that groom for hours, and it's pretty tedious. I mean, those things travel really slow.
Yeah.
And the guys do a great job.
And it's probably near impossible without a groomed trail.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
you don't want to be stuck in them
No.
big woods way up there.
No. And they, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have great trails to ride. You
Mm-hmm.
would be riding on stuff that was horrible to ride on.
Mm-hmm.
And those guys are out, every day, every other day, and just, thank God we have those volunteers, and
Yeah.
and a lot of them consist of guys that have retired, so it gives them something to do a little bit in the wintertime too,
It
And
doesn't sound like a bad job. I think
No,
if I was
it's-
retired, I wouldn't mind driving that thing
Yeah.
around,
yeah, it's
checking out the woods.
right, and we, you can't emphasize enough, obviously, for snowmobilers and everybody else to, be courteous to those guys. They're
Sure.
out there doing a job, and you get a few idiots, I guess.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't say that,
You
but
can say whatever you want, Becky. I won't tell.
okay. But I mean, you get a lot of idiots that just don't respect that, and it's like, really, I mean, yeah, you might have to travel 5 miles at 5 miles an hour on a sled, but just stay behind them until it's safe to pass, or until they,
Give you the okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
You want to keep safe as a snowmobiler, as well as the groomer, as well as oncoming traffic. So, but we, like I can't emphasize enough and can't thank our guys enough for what they do. So, yeah, I'm really big into snowmobiling. I hope we have some. I would like to see the old fashioned type of winter where it's like
Well,
get an
you
old.
can have it. You can move up north and go have that.
I know everybody else likes that too. They're like, no, we don't want the snow yet. But lake effect is okay, but lake effect snow is slimy, and it's it just doesn't have a lot of substance and stuff. So
It's not good for snowmobiling.
no, I mean it is. I mean, but it just doesn't last like the old fashioned snow. Like if you just get a snowstorm, you get. And we don't need 4 or 5 feet at a time. No, just give us a foot or two at a time, and get a nice base going. And so I'm all about having like nice, just old fashioned, a little bit cooler winter and nice soft snows, not this 4 foot at a time lake effect stuff.
Seems like, doesn't it seem like the past 20 years, every winter has been just so completely different?
It is. It is.
And I know what you're talking about, the old time winters. When I was growing up, it seemed like winter was always a standard. You knew what to expect every winter. And now it's just
You never know.
chaos.
Yeah, you never know. And I'm the type of person that I don't get to ride much through the week. I ride mostly on the weekends because that's the group I ride with, which are an awesome bunch of people, really good friends.
You can name names if you want.
Okay. We just have a great group, and we do take some time off once in a while, like maybe take a weekday, or we might take a couple and go on an overnight trip or whatever. But it just seemed like last winter, for instance, on the weekends, the snow was gone. Like the best riding was through the week.
Yeah.
And by the weekend, and then the roads bear up. I know they got to keep them sanded and so forth, but it's just, the sun's so warm, and our climate's definitely changing.
Yeah.
The
you
sun
can
is,
feel that.
oh yeah, even in the summer months, in the spring and fall, whatever, the sun is definitely hotter, and the temperatures are just crazy, and you might get a really good snowstorm, and then 2 days later, the roads are bare.
Yeah.
And you've got there is some road riding involved to get from point A to point B. So, but again, now this year we've had some great volunteers that up my way where I live in Soft Maple, they have got new trails together where we have, it was all road riding, like from my house down to get to one of the main trails, the Adset, they call it the Adset Trail, that would connect over and go over to like the Mosier and get up into Stillwater, and that way, through the trail system. But we were very lucky where these volunteers this summer had gotten a hold of landowners and
Worked out.
got their
out a
okay.
trail.
So all we do is cross the road and all we have to do is cross it. So from where I live all the way down to where you connect to the Adset Trail, it's only 3 or 4 miles. Not even that, I don't think. But we don't have to run any road now.
That's
so
awesome.
yeah, it is. It's great.
That's
So,
the whole point
absolutely.
of the snowmobile. You don't want to spend any time on the road.
No,
That's not
absolutely.
fun.
No, the last time I rode, last winter, was St. Patrick's Day. We were very fortunate. We had some fresh snow, and there was, I think, 6 of us that were able to take off, and we went up into Big Moose. Had a beautiful day. And by the time we got back, we ended up back at Belfort, and coming across, there's not really, it's pretty much road riding. And I rode like 5 miles of bare road from Belfort all the way to my house because the sun, you're talking March 17th.
Yeah.
And everything just bared up on us. So I went through, it was nasty, but you do what you do. You're a diehard rider or whatever, as long as you're not damaging your equipment, know, but.
So did you grow up doing that, or?
Yeah, we always had snowmobiles when we were kids. My parents, from the time I can remember, we always had snowmobiles and 4-wheelers and so forth. But, or not 4-wheelers, I shouldn't say 3-wheelers back then, of course. But, my sister and I, we were very fortunate kids. We, our parents, we were always doing things together. We did
Kept
vacations.
You out of trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, we did vacations. I don't remember my life not being with our family. We were close on both sides of our families. My mom's side, we were very close. My dad's side, we were very close. We did family trips together all the time. My mom was fortunate. From the time I can remember, I can just barely remember her, that she had to work, and she worked at the Beaver Right Mill in Krogan. But my dad worked, he was hired at Climax, and he worked in the mill, and then a truck driving position became available back when Climax was still based in Casterland, had their own trucks, had their own garage, their own mechanics, back when the Hershey brothers still owned Climax. And my dad drove tractor trailer. And so my mom didn't have to work. She was at home with us girls. So it makes a big difference, I think. In today's society, we're not that fortunate anymore.
Right.
People both have to work.
Well, it seems like as life goes on, you need more and more money.
Absolutely.
I see a lot of people retiring and then going back to work.
Absolutely.
And not just one,
both.
but both.
Absolutely. And it's crazy that our world's come to this. And things were crazy. I can remember my mom telling the story that when her and my dad were first married, they got married in 1959, and he worked at the old block mill in Krogan, that she would send him with $1 to Krogan every day, and they both smoked. So he would buy 2 packs of cigarettes, a loaf of bread, and a quart of milk every day, and come home with a dime. So 90 cents bought a quart of milk, loaf of bread, and 2 packs of cigarettes.
Man.
It's crazy.
That's
Absolutely craziness. But I can remember her always telling that. And it just, and you look at what things are today, and the more you make, the more it costs to live. I mean, when they bought their house, the house that Debbie and I grew up in on the Kirshnerville Road in Krogan, they bought that house in 1965. And I was 11 months old, and Debbie was born when they lived in that house.
Okay.
And because she was born in 65. So, but when they bought that house, it cost $8,000, and it was a ranch with a full cellar, beautiful full cellar, 1-stall garage. I don't know how many acres were there. I just don't know that, but beautiful little ranch home. $8,000.
That's insane.
It is insane. It's just craziness
Can't
to
even
think.
buy a snowmobile for that.
No, that's what I paid for my snowmobile.
Yeah.
It was close to $8,000. It's like, this is just ridiculous how things have gotten in society, But we were always lucky, and like I said, my dad, he made good money, and we had our camp in Soft Maple where we live now. We had our camp there. When we were a little bit older, they bought a camp in Lake Bonaparte. So I don't remember my life not being at Lake Bonaparte. From the time I can remember, we were always at Lake Bonaparte in the summer.
Gorgeous area.
I love it.
There. Yeah.
Love the lake. And we had our home. We went on vacations. But my dad was busy all the time. Like, he worked. He was gone every night. Drove a truck. He was home for dinner every night, and then he would drive, all night long. He would leave Sunday afternoon, would be his first trip for the week, and then he'd work. But like I said, he'd be home every night for dinner, and then go back out on his run. And then Thursday he'd get in. He might work the yard work on Friday, or he might take another run, but a shorter run if he could. Once he built up in seniority,
right?
Because throughout the years, as some of the old timers or the older guys would retire, then my dad obviously, moved up the ladder. And I think at the time that he passed away, I think he was like second in line. He was second for seniority wise. And then Friday night he'd get home, and maybe him and my mom might go do something, just the two of them, or he'd have band practice at the house.
That is a thing. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but that people don't realize too is you need to make time for your family,
Absolutely,
but also for your spouse, because
absolutely,
if you don't keep that alive, you know, the whole thing will crumble.
Absolutely. Yeah, they were busy, and they always did things together, you know? And I mean, I can probably count on my hand, 2 hands, not even both hands, it would take that my dad would ever maybe stop without my mom.
Right.
And have a beer, you know? And if he did stop to have a beer, you can probably 90% chance he's going to call and say, "Hey, Biscuit, I'm down to Naumburg, come and have a beer." Or, you know, I mean, she never drank, but, you know, "I'm having a beer, come on down," or whatever. You know, that was just, that was his nickname for my mom, was Biscuit. So, but.
So he played music.
Yeah, he had his own band.
Okay.
Yep, he had his own band. It was the old-fashioned country, square dancing. It was, when he first started out, it was him and some other guys that I'm not going to remember, but the band that I remember was my dad and Morris Berry, and Morris played steel guitar and regular guitar, and Cliff Mattis, who used to play the accordion. And I can remember them coming to our house for band practice. And I don't know if you know Morris Berry or not. Do you know Holly and Joe Leindecker, Don Berry?
Sounds familiar. I'm from the other side of the river.
Yeah,
so.
they were born and raised up on 177, or excuse me, up on Route 12. Okay. But they actually bought Hillbilly Heaven.
Okay.
From Gordy Kaiser, and Morris and Maggie ran Hillbilly Heaven for years.
Okay.
I don't remember my life without those people in it. They're family. And so they would come to our house on Friday nights and have band practice. And then on Saturday mornings, my dad would get up, and this is what he called his fun job. He would go to the old Donaldson garage in Krogan, where Mike Monette has his plumbing business now.
Okay.
There used to be a big building there, and it was Donaldson Dodge, and it was Dodge vehicles. It was a car dealership. He used to sell a lot of vehicles there, right in Krogan.
That's crazy.
Yes. So he would go down there and work for like 4 hours, and then Saturday afternoon he'd come home and we'd putz around or whatever, you know, and then Saturday night he'd go play. And if he didn't have he'd have gigs different places, but most generally the part of my life that I remember is he played at Belfort Inn every Saturday night when Sandy and Kyle Grimmer owned the bar at the time. And
I'm so glad to see that bar going again.
Yes, me too, because they have really good dinners, you know, and like my parents can go over. We can take my parents over, you know, they're elderly and they're, you know, my mom, it's hard for her to get around, and we can go over there and go out in the dining room and have a nice dinner. They have awesome fish fry on Friday night. They do a Thursday night special every week. Now I just found out, we went a couple weeks ago and they were great. They have a taco night on Tuesday.
Really?
Yeah, and they were really good
Now
tacos.
You're speaking my language.
Yeah, it was really good tacos. So,
Steve
I mean,
did a great job of that place.
Yeah, they do.
Put
They're
a lot of work into it.
Yes, and their food's awesome. Everything you get there, nothing, you know, everything is always good, and it's just a nice place. You know, I've been hanging out there
Feels like
since.
home.
Yeah, it does. And I miss the other places up above, up in Long Pond. I wish those places were still going, just for something different to do. But obviously, our society's changed, and bar business is hard. It's tough.
Yeah,
you know, it's tough for people.
It's risky. It's expensive.
Absolutely, and you can understand why people get out of it or don't want to do it any longer, you know, and it's a hard business. You've got to be committed and do the work yourself. If you're going to make any money, you got to work it.
Right.
So otherwise, especially in today's world, you know, so it's hard. But so, yeah, that was pretty much our life. You know, we were always busy and doing things, but we had a good childhood. We had a great childhood because we did stuff together all the time.
Don't you feel guilty sometimes when you talk to people and talking about how you had a great childhood? Because I did as well.
Yes.
And most people I know did not.
No. There's a lot of it. Yeah, I'm very thankful. And, you know, I mean, we lost our dad very young. I was only 16. Debbie was 15.
Oh, wow.
Our dad was 40 when he passed away. He had a heart attack. But, you know, the time we had him, we had a lot of good, you know, a lot of good and great memories.
Sounded like he lived a full life,
too. He was,
just make the best of it.
Absolutely. And then my mom was widowed for about 3 years. And then she met my stepdad. And he's phenomenal. We couldn't have asked for anybody better. I mean, God really planned it out. You know, like they always say God has your life planned for you. And I truly believe that. And we couldn't have asked for him to give us anybody better than our stepdad. He's the best. And I don't know what I would have done without him in my life. He's helped me in so many things.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, like Frank and Adam, they just adore him.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister and my, everybody does. And when I got married, my stepdad gave me away, because that's how much I love him and think of him.
Well, you were lucky. I mean,
yes, very lucky.
Not lucky that your dad passed away,
No.
but lucky that somebody came and filled those shoes in their own way.
Yes.
And you had a dad again.
Yes. And to have two awesome dads.
Right.
Some kids don't even get one awesome dad. Right. And we've had two great dads. So, yeah, we're very fortunate in anything, and I've had some down times and some rough times in my life, and I had to financially move back home years ago, and it just worked out where I've stayed there because they started having some health issues. Mm-hmm. And it's hard at times. I'm sure we get under each other's skin. Naturally, you're going to, like anybody.
You live together with somebody long enough.
Yes,
that happens.
you do. And my mother and I are so much alike that we really get under each other's skin, But, it's not that we don't love each other. It's just, but it's hard. But yet, I'm glad I'm there because they are at the point where it's hard for them to do a lot of things. Mm-hmm. And there are certain things, obviously, as a woman, I can't do. Mm-hmm. And my stepdad's helped me over the years, Right. I can't load my snowmobile on my trailer all by myself, and he's always been able to help me with that. Now he's gotten to the point where he can't do those type of things either, so I have to rely on Frank and Adam more, But
that's what the kids are for.
Well, yeah, they're there to help. And they're good help. With Adam being right next door, that kid, I don't know what we would do without him.
See, I don't know Adam that well, but every time I've ever hung out with him, I have a blast.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun.
And I know Frank a lot better now.
Yep.
And Frank's just great. I mean, everyone knows that.
There's such a different personality.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Adam is more, how can I say this?
He's always got that look of mischief on his face.
Yeah, oh, yes. Frank is so laid back, and Adam is just the opposite, Adam's more like me. I'm a hothead. People don't realize that, but I'm a hothead. I either like you or I don't like you. You know what I mean? And if I'll give you a chance, obviously, but if I get a vibe, I'm usually a pretty good judge of character. Uh-huh. And if I don't like something, I don't like it. It's just the way it is, I'm so much like my mother that way. But and Frank, he reminds me a lot of my dad. My dad was pretty laid back, but boy, when you ticked him off, watch out, because that's, you can go so far with it. And then you knew when Dad was mad. I was 16 years old the last time I got my butt kicked. And literally my butt kicked. Uh-huh. Mom said for me to go do something. And it was actually the summer before my dad passed. And my mom said, Becky, go do this. And I said, just a minute, Mom. And he said, he flew out of his chair and he come over. He literally kicked me in the butt, and said, your mother said you needed to go do this. Now you need to go do it now and don't mouth off to her, But
don't you think we need more of that nowadays
absolutely.
too?
Not that you're beating on your kid by any means, but
not at all.
No, it's just, yes, kids do not respect.
We need to get rid of that stigma of, oh, you spank your kids?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I spank my kid.
Yes.
I haven't had to in months because I spank my kids.
Exactly. There's a difference between discipline and abuse. Mm-hmm. And I'm a strong believer that if a kid needs a swat on the bottom, then you need to do it and then set them in the chair or whatever.
Some kids react the right way to that.
Absolutely.
And other kids, that doesn't work for them.
No.
I'm not advocating that everyone spank their kids.
No, absolutely not.
Because there's different situations.
Absolutely.
But some kids just don't respond at all to that.
Nope.
I did when I was a kid. I hated getting spanked.
Yes, we did too.
I was a well-behaved little boy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did too. And again, I agree with you 100%, Tony. I don't agree with obviously beating on them or hitting them.
Sometimes just the threat of it or the think that it might happen is enough to get it done.
Yes, because I don't feel that I shouldn't say that. Let me rephrase it. I don't believe people have respect for people the way they used to years ago.
I agree.
Like if my grandparents walked into the room, you got right up and you went and you took their coat or whatever, you went and you helped them or this or that, and growing up, my grandparents on my dad's side, my grandpa and grandma Aucter, we lived right next door to them. Mm-hmm. They used to have a farm up the backside of Krogan, up like the Adams Hill area road that way. And that's where my dad was born and raised. Well, in 1970, they sold the farm and moved down and put a trailer in next to our house on the Kirshnerville Road.
Mm-hmm.
So they were older people. I don't remember my grandpa and grandma Aucter not being older. My grandmother was 40 when she had my dad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I mean, back in those days, they did that.
Yeah.
You know, they had kids till they were
Yeah.
couldn't have kids anymore. But so I don't remember them not being elderly. And every day when we got home from school, we had to get our mail, get their mail, get their wood in the wintertime, of course, and our
Mm-hmm.
wood in. And, you know, we'd have to help them with things, and we did our own things. We weren't allowed to go to any school functions or anything until our homework was done
Mm-hmm.
and our chores around home were done. If we got those things done, then yes, Mom would take us back to school functions
Mm-hmm.
if there was something going on that we wanted to get to or whatever, you know. But you didn't do anything until our house was taken care of for our chores and our grandparents were taken care of, because they just, you know, we needed to do that.
And that's how life was.
Absolutely. We had a huge garden. We shared a garden up
Mm-hmm.
beyond where they lived. And my grandfather grew his own tobacco, so we'd
Mhm.
have to help him hang it and dry
Wow.
it. Yeah.
I've never heard of that
Yes,
around here.
yes, great
I
big
didn't know
leaves.
it grew.
Yeah. Yeah. He always had tobacco in the garden and
Wow.
grew it, and then we'd have to take it up into, he had like a loft up over his garage, so he would dry it up there. I mean, he'd smoke pipes.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Nobody does that anymore either.
No. And, you know, I miss that because that smell was just, you know.
I used to smoke a pipe like for a couple months
Yeah.
and realized how messy and horrible it
Yeah,
was.
It is.
And it doesn't taste like it smells.
Right.
Because my great uncle always smoked a pipe, and I love it when he come
Yes.
around because the smell.
The smell of it, yes. Yeah, because my grandfather always had a spittoon and, you know, and all
Mine
that.
too.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's like,
Hit
you
it
just,
from across the room.
just the way that things were back then, you
Yep.
know, and they always had a crock full of salt pork in the
Yep.
cellar, you know, and just those things. Life was, and I think people were healthier back then.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
there's
no
too
preservatives,
much. Exactly.
you know.
Yeah.
You don't know where your food is coming
No,
from.
no.
My wife's taking a class right now all about that, so
Is she?
our fridge is looking a lot better.
Yes. Yeah. It's just different. I think
But
things.
you know what a lot of it is too is that we don't have time anymore because we're working so many jobs and so many hours just to make that
Absolutely.
money to afford it. So who has time to come home and
Cook
you
a
know
meal.
make a healthy dinner? I
Yeah.
mean, we probably do, but there's so much other stuff to do. We just grab something out of
Right.
the freezer and
Yep.
microwave it.
Absolutely. Or you go to McDonald's, you get a pizza, or you go
Yep.
Subs or whatever. And it is. And another thing too with our society, the way it is today, I mean, I'm not trying to knock society by any means. I mean,
There's always room for improvement.
Right,
So
there is.
You
Yeah.
can be critical of society because it's constantly evolving.
right. It's so expensive to eat healthier
Mm-hmm.
and to try to, if you want to try to lose weight or diet or just to eat healthier all in general, groceries are like double in cost.
Oh yeah.
And if people have an eating disorder, as far as like they can't eat gluten, you know, they have to eat gluten free, or they have to do this or they have to do that. I have a couple family members that cannot eat gluten, and I don't know how those people buy groceries and be able to afford to buy the groceries.
Aldi's has a little section now.
Oh, do they have gluten free
Yes.
stuff? That's awesome.
Yeah, that place is amazing.
I do. That's where we usually do most of our shopping, and where we can't get there, then we go to other places, of
Yeah.
course. But you know, it's just really tough. Society doesn't make it easy for people to try to eat healthier. It's way too expensive, you know. And back when we were growing up, my mother made a great meal every night. My dad wanted meat, potatoes, and vegetable. She baked every day.
Yeah.
We had meat, potatoes, vegetable. You might have bread, rolls, whatever, and dessert. That was our meal every day.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, but we were healthier.
Yeah.
You know, we really were. We were healthier people. And
Well, all of it came locally.
Absolutely.
And grew
Yep.
out of your own dirt in the backyard.
yep. Yeah, we always had a great big
We love
garden.
going to the farmer's market just because it's all local
Yes. Yep.
and fresh and actually fairly cheap.
Yes. And that is good with farmers markets and everything. It is really good. And
Mm-hmm.
like Noltz's, I'm really glad we have Noltz's.
Oh, that place is amazing.
You know, it is. And we buy a lot of our stuff there. And we buy a lot of our vegetables and stuff there. And my mother, we always used to have our own garden, even right up till probably 5 or 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I personally can't work in a garden. I'm allergic to a lot of the weeds and stuff.
Ah,
My stepdad always had it, but then his back is shot. He's just, you know, he's 80
I've got
years
a garden
old.
right in here.
Yeah, yeah. It's, you know, you got
Not
to.
allergic to peppers, right?
No, but like to pick, to pick them and
Right.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like strawberries, I can't go strawberry picking because I'm so allergic to strawberries.
Wow.
But we always had a garden, but his back got so it was really getting so it bothered him. And
rough work.
Yeah, it is. Gardens are hard work. But we always had a garden. And my mom, oh my God, that woman would can nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
And we still do get tomatoes. We didn't get any tomatoes this year, but she always gets green beans and just certain things that we really like.
Mm-hmm.
And she'll take care of them and we can them and, but yeah, there's nothing like having a fresh garden. No. Nothing like it. Get your own vegetables and everything.
We always had one growing up. My mom grew up on a farm,
mm-hmm.
and their garden probably bigger than my whole property here.
Yeah.
And I don't think they went to the store for much.
No. And that's kind of
Limburger cheese, that was about it.
Yeah. Do you like Limburger?
Yeah,
we do too. I do.
Yeah.
We love it. My mom always tells a story that Debbie and I have ate it since we were in our high chairs. We just always have. We like it.
My grandfather used to sit at the head of the table, and all his cousins would sit around,
mm-hmm.
and he would put some on a cracker and pass it down, and we'd have to pass it all the way around the table. Sometimes it didn't make it all the way around.
Yeah.
Then he'd sit there and eat sardines right out of the can.
Oh gosh, no, I don't. That's one thing.
That's where I draw the line.
Yeah, I can't do. Now my stepdad will eat them. He doesn't like Limburger, so. If I'm going to do Limburger, my mom and I both love it. I usually end up to Noltz's, and they have the small bricks, and it's like the cheapest place I found to buy. It's only like $4.
Yeah.
So every now and then, actually about a month ago, one night, it was on a Friday night, I knew I wasn't going to go out or do anything. I stopped to Noltz's, and I picked him up like a small brick of a different type of cheese, because we're cheese hounds. We all love cheese. So, and I think I got him something, and then I picked up the small brick of Limburger for Mom and I. And I got home, and my mom's like, "What do you want for dinner tonight?" She hadn't taken anything out; they'd been gone for the day. And I said, "Well, you don't have to worry about anything. You and I can have Limburger,
Mm-hmm.
And my stepdad's like, "Well, I'll figure something out to have." It was funny, but it just so every now and then I stop and do that, and we just have that for dinner.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So
What's your favorite kind of cheese?
I don't know if I have a favorite.
Okay.
I don't like Swiss. That's one I don't like. Okay. I don't like goat cheese.
My wife is the same. She doesn't like Swiss.
Nope, and I don't like goat cheese, but I love like the cheddars and the sharps. I love all of those. I really, really like the extra sharp or extra sharp, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That comes in the round.
The cheese wheel.
Yes, from Kraft or wherever you can get it up the co-op.
When I worked there, that's what they handed out for Christmas.
Really?
And,
those are the best.
Never lasted a week in the fridge.
And that's the best for mac and cheese. It's like it's phenomenal. Yeah, there's not too many cheeses that I don't like. So, but like again, the Swiss and the goat
that's
cheese.
from growing up in this area because it was just always available and always good and fresh.
I think so. Yeah.
The cheese curd phenomenon up here is,
it's crazy.
Everyone loves it.
Yes.
And it makes you wonder why some people don't.
I know.
What is wrong with you?
Yeah. And what I like it the best, and a lot of people like to eat it at room temperature, or they like to microwave it a little bit or whatever and get it stringy.
Yeah.
I like it cold out of the refrigerator. That's my favorite way of eating cheese curd, But a lot of people like it to have it warm or whatever. And another good place, or another cheese that I get there at the Noltz's is the cheese curd. I like their cheese curd the best of anybody. It's not really salty.
Right.
So because sometimes cheese curd can be a little salty.
It's weird how it varies.
Yep, it is. Yep, it
like
is.
if you go to buy it at Stewart's, I'm not sure if it's even from around here.
I'm not sure either how that works.
It's just a little.
Yeah, I'd much rather buy it like at Noltz's or Eddie's Meat Market or the Kroger Meat Market or Miller's or up to the cheese shop up in Boston, or not Boston Street, excuse me, Utica Boulevard. Go to places like that where it's going to be local.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you hunt at all?
I don't. I went out west. Oh gosh, years ago. I'm trying to think of when it was. It would have been the fall of 2002. Went out with some friends to Colorado elk hunting. I didn't elk hunt. Tags back then were almost $300 for a tag then, But back when we went, you didn't need to have a hunting permit like to bird hunt or so forth. You didn't have to have a pistol permit or anything. I just went to the local like DEC or town office, whatever it was. I can't remember anymore. Bought it like a day permit so I could bird hunt.
Right.
And I had a blast doing that because I just had a small little like 22 pistol or whatever that I used. Oh my God. My friend Lynn and her husband, we went out with them. And so she had killed her elk. So like the next day she said, well, come on, we'll go bird hunting. I'll take you bird hunting. We were right in the middle of the Rocky Mountains.
Right.
We were about 30 miles. The closest little city or whatever that we were like 30 miles away from Steamboat Springs, Colorado. And we went up into what they call Hans Peak. Phenomenal country.
I've always wanted to get out to Colorado.
It's all open range. So, I mean, cows are everywhere, you know. And, but it was just, I mean, your neck gets sore looking at the scenery and the mountains. It's just phenomenal. So we were only able to drive in so far. And then we had to take, because we took the wheelers out on a trailer. So we left the trailer and we took their vehicle and the guys drove the wheelers in. And we stayed at the bottom of what they called Firewall Mountain. And we stayed in this outfitter's tent. And there was a burn ban on, so we couldn't have any fires. So we had like a propane heater. And our beds consisted of 4 5-gallon pails turned upside down, a 1/4-inch piece of plywood, a little piece of foam, and an air mattress. That's what we slept on for 10 nights.
Oh, my.
And so they would go out and hunt, so I would be in the tent. So I was kind of like, what's the proper word I want to say here? Kind of like camp bitch for the week. I did the cleaning and, clean up and everything, but I didn't mind. I did a lot of reading, and so forth. I didn't wander too much.
That's
because,
always nice too.
Yeah,
it's nice when you go hunting
relaxing
for a while to be able to just make that place your home.
Absolutely. And it was just relaxing. And I didn't want to venture too far because obviously there's bears and mountain lions. I mean, you're right in the middle of the Rocky Mountains, So, but it was fun. And I can remember... it was like we went in on a Thursday, we got camp set up, and then on Friday they kind of scouted around and stuff because we couldn't start hunting until Saturday. And so it was like the 2nd and 3rd week of September kind of is when we were out there. We left shortly after Labor Day, and then we came back like towards the end part. We were gone 3 weeks because we drove out. So we traveled out, and when we went to Steamboat Springs, and we stayed there a few days and did some sightseeing and stuff. And then we went up into the mountains. But so I can remember one day it was like 78 degrees. It was hotter than hell. And one of them killed their elk, filled their tag. That night, we got 6 inches of snow. We woke up in the morning. It was just craziness,
78.
Yeah, and then we get
snow,
and it sounded like a freight train was coming down through. I mean, the sides of the tent was flopped. I mean, I was really kind of nervous, because... I mean, we got one hell of a storm, and here we are in the mountains in this tent, but it all worked out. But then where we were staying, again, like I said, we were at the bottom of what they called Firewall Mountain. So after my friend Lynn killed her elk, we went up in on wheelers. The guys were hunting, and she took me, and we went up through and did a little bird hunting. And it's really neat because it's all that shell rock and stuff,
Okay.
And when you're climbing up the mountain on your 4-wheeler or whatever you've got, you literally, like, they build the road zigzaggy,
Right, so you can make it.
Yeah, so you literally know that you're, like, you can kind of feel that, like, you're zigzagging, of course, so it's just really neat. But then when we got up to the top of this mountain, everything is burned off, and it never grew back. And so the story is that the Indians burnt that land off when the white man was trying to take their land. And it's just never grown. You really kind of get a feeling up there.
Really?
When you, like, she was, we stopped and I'm like, Lynn, what happened up here? I thought it was just the wildfires. There was a lot of wildfires going on then. And she's like, no, this has been like this for probably 200 years or however many years it had been, And I'm like, what do you mean? And she goes, this is the story. This is Firewall Mountain. That the Indians burnt this land and it's never grown back.
That's crazy.
And it just kind of
sinks in.
Yeah.
It's
so surreal. And you really think, holy cow, it's beautiful. I mean, everything's burnt. I mean, but it's like, wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And it just really got to me, and I'll never forget that story for as long as I live. And I can still see it in my head. I still have that image and know exactly what it looks like up there because it just impacted me. So that story, and she explained it to me, and it's like, wow, that's history. That's our history.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy cow.
That's
but yeah, that was a trip of a lifetime. And I would do it again. It was, it kind of it was rough. I mean, I was
It's
there
supposed to
probably,
be.
yeah. And I
A
was
little
there,
bit.
4 or 5 days. And I can remember, Lynn's husband, Donnie, said, if you get bored or you just want to call somebody, because he had a phone that would work.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember calling back to my sister, and I was pretty emotional. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this 5 more days, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like a blubbering, idiot. And she's
Mm-hmm.
like, well, aren't you having fun? I'm like, I'm having a blast, but I'm so, I'm alone right now. I'm so bored. I can't stand it. So many books I could read, and, but then the next day I was fine. I just had, I just had a downtime, so, or a bad time or whatever.
So the whole thing was an experience.
Oh, gosh, yeah. And I would do it again in a heartbeat. I really would.
Awesome.
Yep, I really would do it. And I don't know if I would actually hunt or not.
But just to be out there.
Absolutely. And just to see the country. And, and I can remember like I said, we had moved done on Friday, when the guys were kind of like scouting and trying to figure out like where they might want to hunt. And because there was another mountain called Grouse Mountain, and that's actually where they killed their elk, was on Grouse Mountain. Lynn and I decided to go back into town for a few things, mainly because it got cold enough at night and everything that their air mattress popped.
Wow.
Cold or something, the air mattress. So we went to town to try to find a new air mattress for them. And on our way to town, I'll never forget it. She left her camera in the tent. She had taken her camera out for something, and she left it out, and it was at the tent. So we headed to town, and all of a sudden, like I said, everything's open range, so we're going really slow because there's cows all over.
Right.
And I can remember off to my left, all of a sudden I seen, and I'm hollering to her, Lynn, Lynn, Lynn. And she's like, what? And I couldn't even spit it out. This humongous elk, 6x6 rack on it,
Wow.
is walking, just kind of, gradually just kind of taking his old time walking. And there's a fence, and he just stepped over the fence, and he stood right there in the middle of the road right in front of us. And I was so excited that I couldn't even say anything. And finally she looked, and she's like, oh my God. I'm like, where's your camera? Where's your camera? She goes, oh my God, I left it back at the tent, I'm like, the guys are never going to believe us. The guys are never going to believe that we've seen a 6x6 elk up here, and so, and that's something that will always stick. I can still see that elk walking down through the fields and the meadows.
They have to believe you now. It's in the podcast.
Yeah, there you go. It was just unbelievable, and her and I always laugh about that, Here they are going to be hunting their tails off tomorrow, and we just go to town and
see
we
the
see
biggest one.
Exactly. So we're back live.
Yeah. You like that little trick I got there?
Yeah, the clapper.
Yeah. Penelope gets a little bored sometimes, and
That's understandable.
especially when the TV doesn't work.
Yeah, it wasn't working. All
No.
kids have to have even big kids have to have our TV.
Yeah.
I need my TV time at night, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I really do. But
I don't think I can go to sleep some nights without TV. Although I went up to Mike's camp the other night and I fell asleep like a baby. I mean, probably the beers helped.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. Beer always helps. Beer or wine.
Yeah.
I usually have I have a little portable DVD player in my bedroom, and I have to have that going to get myself, because I don't sleep well.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And especially the older you get, I think it gets worse.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, they say the older you are, the less sleep you require.
I don't believe that.
I think physically, the less sleep that you require, you might feel a little more groggy.
Yeah.
But I notice the older I get, like 6 hours is good for me. I get 6 hours,
you're good.
I'm good. If I get 7 hours or 8 hours, it almost makes me. I think that my REM sleep, whatever, is in 3 hour increments.
Yep.
Or something like that.
Right.
I don't know the math of it, but
You're sometimes if you, like a person, like you said, you feel good at 6. So if you get 7 or 8, it's too much.
Yeah.
Or you're too draggy or
I just
whatever.
wake up at the wrong part of the cycle or whatever it is. But 6 hours is about perfect.
I'm lucky if I get 3 or 4 a night.
Really?
Yeah, I don't sleep well, and I'm tired all the time, and that's not good,
No.
But
You ever tried melatonin?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yep. Sometimes, I think.
Gotta be in the right state of mind for it.
Yeah.
Because I use that once in a while.
Yeah, and I think everybody has problems, obviously, but I just don't. I think I get in bed a lot of times too, and my mind's just going 1,000 miles a minute. I just, even after being home for a few hours and unwinding with TV, I get in bed and that's when I start thinking. And it's like, oh my God, da 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 da.
I always heard this trick too, and I don't use it myself, but I've heard people with success for it, is that you allow yourself 10 minutes before bed to think about all your problems and think about all the stuff that you're going to lay in bed and think about.
Right.
You allow yourself 10 minutes, set a timer, and do that. And once it goes off, you're not allowed to think about that stuff anymore. And it probably, whatever your brain can do, you know, if you're able to do that, then maybe that'll work. But maybe just okay, I got to get all this out and think about all my stuff. Maybe even write it down.
Yep, write a journal.
Yep.
Yep.
And that way, once you're done, the alarm goes off. Okay. Now I don't have to think about that stuff anymore.
Now I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing, too, is I had a friend of mine tell me that she used to do this. As she would get in bed and she would just, it's kind of like self-meditation in a way. Mm-hmm. She would start with, like, the top of her head. Mm-hmm. And she would just, think about my hair. Mm-hmm. And, breathe in and breathe out and, hold it for, count, 1, 2, 3, and then let it out. And then go to, your eyes and then your ears. And she would do that from the top of her head to her toes, all of her body parts or whatever. Mm-hmm. And she said she never got to her feet because she'd be asleep. Really? It was like self-meditation. Huh. And
I've heard a lot of breathing techniques kind of the same way.
Yes.
With the 7, breathe in through your nose for 3 seconds, out through your mouth for 4.
Right.
Stuff like that. And it's probably just in your head that you're counting it, and focusing on your breathing. And
right. And so
you're out.
Right. It's kind of helping. And she was really into self-healing. She didn't believe in medicines or any of that kind of stuff. A lot of things, her and I used to talk for hours. We'd just sit and visit, and we'd go and have coffee and just sit and visit, and she would just tell me, and it all made sense, what she would talk about. It just really made sense. She never really took any aspirin she never took anything. And she was healthy. She was really healthy. And I think she just got all of the bad, all the bad was out. She would self-meditate,
Well, stress is such a huge factor in everything.
Everything.
And everyone's full of stress.
Absolutely. Today's society is stressed. Yeah. Today's world is stressed. Today's jobs are stressed.
Yeah.
And a lot of that, I think, is because of what our society's become. And for employers, they're not entitled to hire enough help to keep businesses properly flowing properly, I should say. So everybody is way overworked.
Right.
You're doing the job of maybe 2 people or 1.5 people or whatever.
They want you to be the most efficient
Absolutely.
you can possibly be.
Absolutely.
And everyone feels that way in their life too.
Yes.
I got a day off. I need to do this. I need to do that.
Yep.
And
because we're all working, and some people, it used to be most of society worked Monday through Friday, and you had Saturday and Sunday off. It's not that way anymore. People work 7 days a week.
Sure.
And
I've got 3-4 jobs.
Absolutely. Yes, exactly. And everybody, it's just, there's so many people that do that. And it's some of it's for fun. Some of it's because you have to in order to make a living. You have to work 2 or 3 jobs. Yeah. And it is, I think it's sad that all of it's come to that because of the cost of things and what society is. But, and you do want to give your all, but again, a lot of places, they're limited of what they can hire, and it's just, everything is short-staffed, everything. And, people that are making minimum wage, even though I know minimum wage has been increased, still you have to most generally have another job to go along with that to make a living anymore.
Right.
But,
and a lot of times people that are making minimum wage don't own a house. They're renting.
Exactly.
Which is way more expensive. And everything that goes along with it, because either you're going to use public transportation, which in a place like up here, there is none.
No, there
isn't. It's
non-existent.
No. So you have to own a car or know somebody that does and give them some gas money, and then you're a burden. Yep. It all equals more stress.
Absolutely. Yeah, you don't want to bug people for a ride. Can you take me here? Can you take me there or whatever? Or like you said, if you rent and then you might have something break in your apartment or house or whatever you're renting, and then you hopefully you have a good landlord that'll take care of those things.
And you're stressed because, you can't live the full life that you want to live. In order to paint the wall, you got to call the landlord, make sure it's okay. If you want to have a dog, you might not be able to because no apartments allow animals anymore.
No, most generally they don't. Exactly. And it's just, I don't remember life being stressful like this for my parents, but maybe it's because we were kids.
Maybe it's because, they were hiding that from you
Absolutely.
so that you had a good childhood.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. And I know there was some stressful times, obviously.
Sure. I
know that. I can remember, one time when the mill went on strike, so my dad was out of work. I remember those things, obviously they had stress, but to me it just seems so much larger than what it was back when we were all growing up, and I'm quite a bit older than you guys, so I
doubt quite a bit.
Well, I'm up there pretty good. I'll be 54 in a couple months.
Okay.
Yep. So yeah, I'm up there pretty good.
You don't look it, Becky.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So yeah, next year I can get my Walmart discount.
There you go.
Something to look forward to. Walmart discount.
Walmart discount.
Yeah. So
it's worth it.
Yeah, exactly.
Now I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, there you go. You probably got 20 years yet to go.
Yeah, a little ways.
Yeah. You're probably about the same age as Frank and Adam and them.
Yeah, I'm 37.
Yep. So
you're 36. Wow. Yeah,
you're a couple years older than Frank then, because I think Frank's 33, I think.
Yep.
So, but...
Well, my wife's 9 years younger, so...
Yeah, so she's got a long time.
Keeps me young.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep. I feel older now. I never felt old. I remember when I turned 30.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God. I thought the world was going to come to an end.
Yeah.
Because when you're in your 20s, you still feel like a kid.
Yeah.
And when I turned 30, I was like, oh, my gosh.
You still got plenty of time to make mistakes.
Oh, absolutely. But when I turned 30, I'm like, holy cow. I was married and had my own home. And I'm like, oh, my God, I'm 30. But then when I turned 40, 40 was really, really bad.
Oh, man.
40 was brutal. But when I turned 50, it really hit me. And I'm like, wow, 10 more years, 12 more years, I can retire. Hot damn, 12 more years, I can retire. But, it's like, it just, wow, where does the time go?
It only speeds up the older you get, it seems.
Absolutely. I mean, my mom's 78, my stepdad's 80. It's like, where did that, where did that time all go? And I just cannot believe that I'm, next year, once I hit 55, I only got 5 more years. I'm going to be 60 years old. It's like, this is crazy. Crazy.
You don't act like that. I mean, we always see you out at our gigs, which is awesome, by the way. I want to make sure I mention that.
Well,
because
thank you. I love to come.
When Aunt Becky shows up, then the party starts.
Oh, thank you. I have a good time. I like to have fun. Life is too short.
Yeah.
My father lived his life to the fullest. He had fun no matter where he went. He was always raising hell. That's what I try to do.
Yeah.
I love to have fun, and I want to have as much fun as I can. And I'm so thankful that I can still do that. I have awesome friends and family, and friends that always include me in everything. I'm single now. I've been single for a long time, and it just seems I have
single and looking. Should we,
well, you never know. Yeah, if the right one. No, don't do that. But it just, I have such an awesome group of friends they're all married, but they include me in everything.
Yeah.
And we all do stuff together. There's like 10, 12 of us, and we all do stuff together. And we've all had busy summers, so we haven't been able to do as much together this summer. Everybody's lives are busy, but we still make it a point to text each other, hey, how you doing? Like tonight, for instance, I said I had dinner with my friend Linda, just out of the blue. It just happened to work out that way. I was in Lowville. She came, we run into each other, and she's like, let's go to dinner. And I'm like, sure. It was great. And I'm very, very, very thankful that I have those friends and my family. If it wasn't for the family, we all do fun stuff together. And I love coming to listen to you guys. I love. And Aaron said to me one time, Aunt Becky, every set by heart, every song we do by heart. It's like, that's okay. I love it. I like what you guys do.
I love seeing you walk in the room because you always have a smile, and I'm like, oh, it's going to be fun now.
Well, thank you, Tony. And like the other night when I came to the Elks Club, all afternoon I was trying to find somebody to go to the Elks Club. I didn't want to come down there by myself. I knew you guys would be busy playing, obviously, It's like, I'm not going to just stroll into the Carthage Elks Club by myself, And I talked with my cousin Kathy and her husband, and they're like, well, we're going to go down for a little while, and it was so awesome because I seen so many people that I have not seen in years, because I used to be around Carthage. I worked in Carthage for years, and when I was married, I lived in Natural Bridge.
Carthage is great.
Yeah, there's a lot of nice people. Yeah, there's a lot of nice people there. And I ran into a girl that my very first job from high school, and her very first job from high school, we worked at Crown Zellerback.
Okay. And
I worked at the switchboard and was secretary for the purchasing agent, and she worked for the shipping department. She did all the work for the main shipping I don't even know what his title was, but anyway, but her and I just clicked. And my mother and her mother knew each other. They had gone to school together in Carthage because they both were, my mom was born and raised in Carthage.
Mm-hmm.
So right from day one, her and I just clicked. And she's the type of friend that I'm lucky if I see maybe once a year. But when you walk into a place or you run into each other, you pick up right where you left off.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there listening to you guys last Saturday, and all of a sudden, I just kept hoping that they would come, her and her husband. And all of a sudden, the door opened, and sure enough, they walked in because they're very active with the club.
Right.
Her dad is one of the officers there and stuff. Her mom and dad, her mom, God rest her soul, passed away a year or two ago. But their family's always been very, very active with their Elks Club. So it was awesome because we had one.
You weren't going to go out.
No.
You were worried all about it, not knowing anyone. And
no.
We had a great time.
Yes. And it was awesome, and we just had such a great visit and got to catch up. And thank God I went down, just out of the blue and last spur of the moment thing. And it was probably one of the most fun nights I've had this summer yet, just to see different people and stuff. So, yeah, it's nice to be able to do that type of stuff. Yeah. And, I enjoy going out to listen to you guys. And there's not a lot to do around here anymore.
No. And it's so risky, too. I mean, you don't want to go out and have 20 beers,
No. Nope.
I think a lot of people are afraid of that.
Yeah.
But you do it right. You'll go out, hang out for a little while, and go home.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You're not out there till all hours of the night. And I see so many people doing that.
Right.
And some aren't drinking, or some are only having a few and then staying the rest of the night.
Right.
But you got it right. You come out, you have a good time, you go home.
Yep, I try to. I always have, if I feel like having a beer, I'll have a beer. Mm-hmm. And then I'll switch to water. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of nights, man, would I ever like to have a few more beers? But
it's
obviously,
nice, like when you go up to the vineyard and they have the food trays. And so you're not just sitting there pounding liquor into you.
No.
You're conversing with a bunch of friends, having a snack.
And eating and
listening to music.
Right. And that's, you cannot do that. I mean, you cannot do that anymore. And I love to be able to go out and, and like I said, and that's what I did Saturday. I had a beer and I drank water, and then I was like 2 hours later, I thought, well, I might have another beer, so I had another beer. And then I drank water the rest of the night. But I knew that when I left to come home, I was going to be okay and I wouldn't have to worry about that.
Isn't that such a great feeling when you're done at the bar and you're like, I feel good.
Yeah.
I was responsible.
Yep, absolutely.
And you feel great on the way home. Like, I hope I get pulled over because I'm going to be like, nope, I'm good.
Yeah. I had one beer tonight, officer, or whatever, and that's it, And actually, Saturday night on the way home, I saw a bear and two cubs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, right up.
Don't tell Mike.
No, it was up past.
I'd be blasting him.
Yeah, it was up by just past where Mr. T's Tavern used to be. I'm like,
I'm going to go have to hunt my brother's land.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God, what's that black blob off to the, I was heading for home, heading towards Soft Maple, and all of a sudden off to my left, I'm like, what is that? And there's great big, it was a good sized bear. Mm-hmm. And they were running, so I must have spooked them from something, obviously. But there's a cornfield, so I'm sure they come out of the cornfield and they were crossing. And I spooked her because it's kind of a hill and a little bit of a knoll there and like a curve, Mm-hmm. And man, was she ever running. And I'm like, holy crap, that was a bear and two little ones.
I hit a bear one time with my car.
Oh, they do some damage.
No, it barely hit the car, but I was coming back from Harrisville down 812.
Yep.
And I was coming down this hill and I see, like the same thing you said, a black blob on the side of the road. And I thought it was just a big dog. And it started to slowly walk across the road. And my idea was, I got to get ahead of it, because it's going to go across the road. I don't want to sit there and wait. And then, we've all had that experience where the dog doesn't know what to do. Is it going to bite your tires? Do you need to? I didn't want to run over it.
Right.
And so I sped up a little bit going down this hill to get past. And it starts barreling across the road. And then I see that it's a gigantic bear.
Oh, God.
And it was on all fours. And I had a Grand Am at the time. And its head hit the very back window of the Grand Am and must have hit its tooth or something because it did put a scrape in the window.
Oh, my gosh.
And just barely nicked it. You know what I mean? Just the tip of its snout must be. And when I got out of the car, I didn't get out there.
I don't blame
gone.
you.
I didn't want to
yeah.
no mess
way.
with a pissed off bear.
No way.
So I got home and I looked, and it was above the side mirror on the car. That's how big that bear was on all fours.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, oh, I'm glad I didn't hit that thing.
It would have
I did technically, but,
but
it
not.
just, and you can almost hear the little scrape. So I just barely nicked it.
You are so lucky you didn't nail it dead center, because it
I'm also glad I didn't slow down.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Been in a little standoff with a gigantic bear. No thanks.
Oh.
I had no gun with me.
I shouldn't say, excuse me, I didn't hit, but coming from Harrisville one night back to Croghan, we were through Indian River. It was almost to the Croghan dump, where the Croghan dump is now. Or it was there at that time too. But it was kind of a foggy night.
Mm-hmm.
And a gigantic moose.
Wow.
Yeah. And I can't remember if my sister Debbie was with me or who was with me, but it was like this, all of a sudden I'm like, you could see something was in the road, and it was right in the middle of the road. And all of a sudden she's like, oh my God, it's a moose, you know? And I'm like, holy crap. And at the same spot that I seen that moose, I had a timber wolf. That wolf was huge.
Uh-huh.
And I say a timber wolf. I don't know if that's the correct word.
They are around here,
but
I saw one a few years ago.
Did you?
Yeah.
It was white as white, and the tail on that thing was just gorgeous. But this was years ago, because it was like, it had to be in the 80s, and I had a little Ford Escort car, and they used to be a really tiny car, and he ran out in front of me, and his head was above my hood.
Wow.
So he was a really big wolf. And that really freaked me out, you know, but thank God I didn't hit him, because I'm sure could have caused some damage too.
Yeah.
So, and I've hit enough things in my life, because I'm going on, knock on wood, if there's wood anywhere, I'll knock on my head. I'm on number 10 for deer.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. So, yeah, I've hit a lot of deer. And I shouldn't say I've hit a lot of deer. Deer have hit me. So,
yeah, isn't that weird? I just run into the side of the car.
God,
what are you doing? You see that I'm here, right?
Exactly. I've had one car that was smashed twice within 6 months. Brand new car. My very first Kia Sportage, and I hit 2 deer within 6 months. You know, it's like, oh, God, you got to be kidding me. But
you know, to go out in the woods and hunt them, they're so smart.
Yes.
And you never see them.
No.
But they come up on a road, and
they're all over.
Their brain is just fried.
Yeah, they're all over. Yeah. One night I was on my way home, and I actually had to, I was married and still living in Natural Bridge, and my wash machine wouldn't stop filling up, and we had just remodeled our home. So I had brand new carpets, brand new floors, and this water was going everywhere. So my ex got that shut off, but I needed to come to Croghan to my sister's to get her shop vac. I didn't have a shop vac at the time. I needed to get that water out of them floors, you know. So I'm on my way to Croghan, and I run into a blinding snowstorm. And I'm like, you know, what else? Really, you know? So I'm coming down through what we always call the swampy area, past the Tid Road.
Okay.
Before you get to Dutton's Corners. And again, here it is, a snowstorm, and there's all of a sudden this dark thing in the road. And it was an 8-point buck.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. I'm not going to be able to stop because it's storming like a son of a gun. Roads are slippery, you know. And thank God I just kept beeping my horn. And he jumped off. And that's what I do today. Yeah. If I see a deer, I'm laying on the horn.
Yeah.
I just lay on the horn, because, I don't know, it's just instinct for me to do it.
You got to do something.
Yeah, you know.
The headlights aren't doing anything.
No, exactly. But, so yeah. And I've had a really bad experience, because the very first snowmobile that I ever bought on my own, I had a deer land on me and my snowmobile.
Wow.
From a bank. I was up by the Harrisville Rod and Gun Club, and on my way over one of the main corridors, it's called C8. It's the Bald Mountain Trail that takes you from Harrisville over to Long Pond. And my sister owned the Buckhorn Tavern at the time, and there was a surprise birthday party going on for a friend of mine over there. The friends actually that we went to Colorado with, it was his surprise birthday party. My ex had to work. He worked 3 to 11. He was working shift work. And he said, you'll be okay. You know, take this route, call Deb, tell her what way you're coming, blah, blah, blah. So I had it all worked out. I got my sled out of the barn, got it gassed up, whatever. Left Natural Bridge and headed over. I called her and said, this is the route I'm taking. I will not switch my route for anything. If I'm not there, allow me an hour and a half. If I'm not there in an hour and a half, send somebody across the mountain looking for me. Because I was by myself. And nobody should ride alone.
Right.
But it's inevitable sometimes to get from point A to point B that you have to run a little bit by yourself, you know. I still do once in a great while have to do that. But anyway, so I had gotten up past the Rod and Gun Club, and I was on the Bryant's Bridge Road heading to hit the C8 trail. And all of a sudden I see a flash, and there was a deer, and it was coming up out of somebody's yard up off, you know, and coming off the bank, and it landed on me in my snowmobile.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty scary. So I started to dive off. So I got down, you know, I was kind of like leaning down, and he kicked me in here, and I bailed. I mean, I was bailing, and I was rolling like this. I kind of was like in the fetal position, so my head was tucked down under me, and I'm rolling this way, and the sled's going this way, and the deer took off. And we looked around, but nobody, you know. So, I mean, I got up.
Crazy.
Yeah,
I've
it
never
is
heard
crazy.
of such a thing.
Yeah, it was crazy. My tunnel was like caved, right? Like the gas tank and tunnel, everything was just crushed. Took the spark plugs, just ripped them right. I mean, just tore them right in half. My windshield just shattered. There was like $3,000 worth, and the sled only cost me $4. You know, so I got my bearings about me, and thank God it happened across the road from where somebody actually lived.
Right.
So I went to use their phone, and he goes, "Are you all right?" And I said, "Yeah, I think I am, you know, whatever." But I was just bruised up and stuff. So I called my sister, and then a bunch of the guys come over, and they towed it over to the Buckhorn. And about 2 years later, I went to pull some laundry out of my trunk, and I heard something pop. I had herniated disc. So there's times I wonder if it didn't all originate. Because I was, you know, literally.
You never went to the doctor? Or
no,
anything?
I never got checked over. I thought I was just, you know, you're tough. You just thought you were bruised up or whatever, you know, banged up a little bit.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So I'm really thinking that that's where it stemmed, you know. So, because I never did anything else to do that, you know, but. Yeah, so I have a certain name that I call deer, and it's not very nice. I call them the four-legged brown bastards.
Well, I'll try to shoot a couple for you this year.
Okay, all right. So
cut down on the population a little.
But, so that's, I have not had very good experience with deer.
Well, you were all nervous when you got here.
Yeah, and I've rambled on like a crazy woman.
We're at almost an hour and 10 minutes.
Oh, my Lord. Yeah, I got rambling.
By, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Time flies.
Yeah, I probably rambled on way too much than I should have and talked about goofy stuff, but...
Well, you know that Deb's going to listen, and
Frank
probably
and
Aaron, Frank.
Yeah, and Adam will probably listen, I'm sure. So hopefully that'll be it, because I'm sure they'll think, what a crazy lady she is.
No. Now they're going to want to come out and see us because they think you're going to be there.
Yeah.
Life of the party.
Well, that's good. I hope they do, because you guys are awesome. I always
say... Free promotion. Thanks, Becky.
You're welcome. I tell everybody, we got to go do North's plan. And I always try to tell everybody when you guys are playing.
We appreciate that, too.
Well, you guys are good.
You share our stuff on Facebook. That's
absolutely.
Awesome.
You got to. That's a good way to promote things. So, and you guys always sound great.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for coming today.
Well, thank you for having me, Tony.
It's a lot more fun than you thought.
It is. Like I said, I feel like I probably rambled on, some things that I shouldn't have.
That's what this is all about. You're supposed to.
Yeah, just ramble.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, thank you for having me. All right.
We'll see you next time.
Next time.
We're going to do it again.
Yes.
Okay.
Down the road, maybe many years.
We'll see what happens.
Okay. Talk to you later.
Yep.
Thanks for listening to Tony and Other People, a podcast. Questions, comments, concerns for Tony's overall well-being? Want to be part of the show? Find us on Facebook or email us at tonyandotherpeople@gmail.com.